All right. Agent quality. Agent quality is our weekly review queue that checks each of your agent's calls against and scores its health. Basically, it's so we can catch a drifting prompt or a silent failure before it actually happens, or a tool call that doesn't work properly when someone calls your voice secretary or your agent. So sometimes when models change or sometimes when models change, sometimes when models change, the way that they behave also changes. It's very unfortunate. And so we run these to make sure that your agent's behaving the way that you expect it to, because the worst thing that can happen is all of a sudden it goes off the rails and starts saying and spouting nonsense. No one really wants that in their business. So this is how it works. You can go into our dashboard and you can just go to the agent quality page. In there, you'll land on a roll up that shows every agent that you have running, and each one will then have a health score summarizing how it's been performing on any of its recent calls, and we judge that against its prompt and its goal. So if you have an agent that's supposed to book calls and it's talking about clouds or ice cream, then he's going to score very badly. Sometimes that can be attributed to the lead, but we want to make sure that agents get the person who they're talking to back on, or that they end the call, because you're still paying for that, even if it's someone who just wants to talk about ice cream for like 3 hours or whatever like that. So anyways, agents with no recent problems are going to be at the top, obviously, and then you'll need to so you'll be able to see all your agents and whether or not they're performing badly or well, and then you'll be able to take steps to fix them and correct them from there. So we already grade individual calls, and so these score against the adherence, the required questions, the data collection, the improvisation, the behavior rules, and the guardrails, as well as the transfer handling on each call. And then our call quality is the per agent deep dive into that data, the latency, the cost, and the eval breakdown behind that single agent's numbers. And so agent quality sits above that. It's kind of the combination of all of that, and you can kind of see how well it's performing over a time span of however long you want to see it for. Anyways, what it still doesn't really do is give the true on-call data if there is no data to choose from. So this does start after a couple days of use, and after a couple calls come in, then the data starts to work, and then you can actually put in the self-learning loops, and that's when they start to kick in. It's probably around like 50 calls. Then it starts to understand how agents should perform, and then you can give feedback at every step of the way. What this costs, so our agent quality is included in every KaiCalls plan, and our solo does start at $69 a month, and our pro is only $200. So with call qualities, transfers, phone numbers, automated reminders, basically it's a working phone with an AI in it. So if that's something you want, just call Kai. Do you need to set anything up to use agent quality? No, it should start working right out of the box. You do have to have like your rules configured and your agent working, but then as you start to use it, that page will populate with the data. Why doesn't one of my agents have a score? You just haven't had enough calls yet to evaluate it. So it does take a little bit of time before you can start to see the data. So it's in that like learning phase. You fix the prompt, but the score hasn't changed yet. So health is based on real calls, not just a prompt. So you're going to need more calls to come through so that we can accurately judge if it's been handled or not. Finding isn't the actual real problem. You can just mark it as ignored, and it'll stop cluttering your view, get it out of the way, And is this the same as the 7-check call grading? No. The 7-check eval grades one call at a time, and that has a different scoring. This is more of the roll-up. Anyways, come check us out if you're into call quality. And just call Kai, or Kai Calls.